Hey guys, Professor Bell, Comic Book University, and Guardians of the Galaxy, issue number 8. We get a bit of an origin story here for Rocket Raccoon. I know we've had it before, but it's updated, and it's kind of meaningful. There's a part in here that I just personally didn't like, but that's me. Some of you might not care, some of you might completely agree with what happened to the book. Me, I'm kind of like, I've had different experiences myself. But we also get an understanding of what the hell's going on with the Universal Church of Truth. That means that a whole lot actually happened in this comic book, though not a shot was fired. All right, let's get talking about who made this book. We'll talk a little bit about the book itself. Faithless, 2 of 6. Donny Cates, writer. Corey Smith, artist. David Curiel, colorist. VC's Corey Petit, letters. Mike Henderson and Dean White, cover artists. Chris Stevens and David Keith do one variant cover. Mike McCone and Edgar Delgado do another variant cover. This is one of the, I showed it, one of the 80th anniversary variant covers that have the thing around it. In Hyuk Lee, Bring On the Bad Guys does a variant cover also. All right. So basically what we have here is Rocket explaining, through compulsion on the part of Groot and Moondragon, what exactly happened to him. Basically, and this is stuff that you're going to see in the previews, all the body modifications that were done to him, the biological experiments that were done to him, the cybernetic implants that were forced upon him, all of this, the modifications to his DNA, all of this is now being rejected by his body for some reason or another. We don't exactly know why. I looked at it and I was like, dude, you could have explained it just by the fact that raccoons don't really live that long. I mean, maybe if you actually found a way to domesticate a raccoon, if that's what you can even consider Rocket. I mean, I guess you finally got him wearing pants, but aside from that, like, no, he's not domesticated really. He's still a creature of the wild, for crying out loud. But maybe he's just dying from old age. How long do raccoons really live, you know? Anyway, most of you guys know that raccoons are my mortal enemy ever since my time in Fort Drum, New York. Forget about it, man. What do you call it? This comic book explains also about the I'm gonna guess that it's the Magus, but I'm also looking at it as this is exactly what Donny Cates is trying to get us to imagine, that it's the Magus that's being brought back, not Adam Warlock. All right, we got a whole big change going on, at least let's say more than one of this thing going on, but they're trying to bring someone back. All the clues are pointing to the idea that it might be the Magus, but nothing is actually said. That's why I think that it's a misdirection. I wouldn't have said anything otherwise. Now, aside from this, and we also get an idea of why Gamora was actually down there with Rocket for a little while. She was actually trying to, actually, you can just read the comic book to get that one. Here's something that bothers me about the comic book. I'm going to show you a page from the middle in here. It's not much of a spoiler. After Rocket gives his explanation, he says, I just wanted to die. I wanted to die in peace. I wanted to die alone. I didn't want you guys to see me like this. Groot is not satisfied with that answer. And I get that. It's cool. It's totally cool. It's 100% cool. Except that it's not. Listen, if it were practically any other character in here getting pissed off at him, I get it. Groot's his best friend. Right. But Groot's also one of the oldest creatures in the Marvel Universe. Yeah, Groot has the collected, like, he's a Flora Colossus. Aside from the one that shows up in the Marvel Monsters character team once in a while, the original Groot, this Groot is technically the last of the Floral Colossi. He has an awful lot of memories inside of him, and yeah, I don't know, maybe because trees hold out for such a long time, maybe you can explain it that way, but in my mind, I imagine that he's a little wiser than this, than to get upset over something like this. Yeah, he's doing his younger punk thing with the freaking, that looks really cute. That looks really cool, having the little twigs running around and doing things and being all tough. That's actually really cool. But we also have to really look at what Groot is. And this is the one that actually, this is the issue. This is the moment, the topic that actually made me start to think about that. as young and hip as Groot's trying to be, isn't that no different than some old guy trying to, you know, go out to the clubs and pick up some chick? Or maybe some old girl who's still got a sparkle in her eyes, but, you know, she's going to try and put on that Sunday dress and, you know, try and hook up with the gentleman suit. Like, it's repugnant, okay? It's repugnant. No. It's very hard to see Groot like that. And I was allowing myself to just go with the suspension of disbelief up until this moment where Groot just does something so, what I would imagine, my headcanon, that's all this is, out of character. Groot is an ancient being with the collected memories of all his people. He's one of the wisest beings out there. This made me not really like this Groot so much. The young, newer thing, whatever, yeah, it was cool and all. But am I missing something? Did we suddenly establish at some point that he's lost all of that? Or was it never actually addressed and we're just suspension of disbelief for that? Groot just saying, I am Groot, and you haven't figured out what he said based on something else, to me, was the greatest aspect of who he was. You can imagine he said pretty much anything. And even if you do know what he said, you don't know how he said it. It was one of those amazing parts for me. And right now, this Groot, he's impulsive, he's rash. Unless we're going to get an origin story, or unless somehow I missed it, that, oh, he doesn't have that memory anymore, you know, ever since he was reborn, because he's always been reborn. I think that was Jerry Duggan who did that series, because he's always been reborn in a way that he remembers everything that happened prior. So this is really weird for me. I'm not a fan of that. I think that if someone is ready to die, they should be allowed to die. That's just my opinion on that. If your opinion is very different, if you're like, no, they actually have to fight. A lot of people like to say that suicide is selfish. I completely disagree. The parts that are selfish, yes. And it's somebody just wanting to take control over their lives, especially if they're particularly sick. But anybody else who calls them selfish, in my opinion, that's just projection. This is you not knowing how to move on after this person's passed on. And that, to me, that's the ultimate form of cowardice. That's the ultimate form of, just projecting your own fears. And that's very immature also. And even old people can do it. I've known way too many, like as a veteran, I've known way too many other vets who have wanted to just go. And who the hell am I or anybody else to tell them, no, you can't, because I'll miss you too damn much. Well, that's what memories are for. Now, maybe that's not going to make this comic book quite as exciting, but that's why I said this is probably just a me thing. Maybe you believe something entirely different. My experiences in life, my conversations in life, I feel that if he wants to go, he should just be able to go. But since we didn't get that, we instead get a really cool Rocket suit. We get a battle mech suit for Rocket. We'll probably see that in action in the next issue. I guess that's a good trade-off. Anyway, guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.